I wrote this down when I first saw it, so I don't know if he's already met with them, but it seems that Clayton Oliver has met or will meet with Geelong to discuss a move to the Cattery. Um, Massive, enormous, has huge implications for Geelong, who I think, I mean, firstly, it's a brilliant move in my opinion. I think Clayton Oliver is a player who obviously we've spoken about culture issues or perceived culture issues at Melbourne and the way Clayton has potentially carried himself over the last however many years. What help does he need to be able to just focus on his football and get the best out of his football? I think Geelong is the place to do that. The culture at that club is probably the best in the country. Them and Sydney, they probably have the two best systems in the league, and it's the reason why they're always at the level that they're at. When was the last time Geelong and Sydney both missed finals together? There's always one of them in, and they're always bouncing back, and they're always there. Two brilliant clubs. So I think it's a and they need midfielders. They need midfielders as well. So I think it's a match made in heaven. In all honesty, I don't know what needs to get done for it to happen from a Geelong and Melbourne perspective. But yeah, if it happens, I think it's an outstanding deal. So we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds. Obviously, he's been rumored to leave many times before, so I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up staying at the D's. But make of the news what you will. The next news came out today, this morning, and it's that Luke Parker has requested his trade to North Melbourne. Again, perhaps surprisingly, because it's one of those ones that's been floated before, many times before. Plenty of years Luke Parker's been put on the table as such. But he's just not left because he's a Sydney man and he was never going to leave in the first place. But this time it's true because he's requested the trade to North Melbourne. I think it's a fantastic move for the Kangaroos when it happens. He's the exact I mean, you only have to look as far as grand final day to see what Luke Parker is all about and what he brings. And again, grand final day obviously isn't the only evidence of what he stands for as a player because he's been doing it for the last 12 years, 13 years, however long he's been playing for the Swans, I don't know. But this is just one of the most experienced players in the league who is going to, in a North Melbourne side, obviously he'll be playing midfield, forward, wherever he plays. But the young players in that system, in those positions, are going to benefit so much off of what Luke Parker brings and the kind of player that he is. And you saw on grand final day how he just stuck it out to the very end and kicked 3 goals in the last quarter. Like I know the game was dead and buried at that point, but it takes a good effort to be able to try and lift your team like that. And I think he's one of the Sydney players who can hold his head high after Saturday. And I think this is going to be a massive move for North Melbourne. If he plays 15 games next year, the amount that these young kids are going to take out of his service, even if it's 1 year, if it's 2 years, whatever, is going to be pretty invaluable. Like imagine what a guy like a George Wardlaw, who's already very good, can take from Luke Parker. All right, moving on. Collingwood. Collingwood are now leading the race for Harry Perryman. In fact, it seems that the deal is now done for Harry Perryman to move to Collingwood on what looks to be a 6-year deal for at least $900,000 a year, um, which has blown Port Adelaide's offer out of the water, as we know. And he's also a boyhood Collingwood fan, so he'll be pretty keen to get there. Is it a good deal? No, no, it's not. No, it's not a good deal. Um, it'll be a good deal if he ends up their best player but like there's not even a guarantee that he's going to get midfield time straight away. When you've got Nick Dacos, when you've got Jack Crisp, Tom Mitchell, Scott Pendlebury's still there, like he's going to be fighting for minutes. This is exactly the same as what we or how we touted Zach Williams when we signed him for a very similar wage. It's a little bit less now. So he's going to be on more money than Zach Williams. He's going to be on halfback, playing a little bit of midfield time. They're going to look in the future to transition him into that full-time midfield role, as far as I can tell. If it doesn't work, they're going to get hammered for it because it's a lot of money for a player like that compared to other players that are on that kind of money. And again, we have players like that. Carlton have done it, and that's why I'm very aware of how badly this could turn out. Granted, Zach Williams has become a pretty decent player when he's fit. He just needs to be fit. But it's still a lot of money. So this needs to go very right for Collingwood. Do I think he's a good player? Yes, he's a great player. Like he's going to be a good contributor for them. It's so much money to throw at Harry Perryman, in my opinion. But we'll see how it goes. We will see. Um, Matt Owies, the list of clubs interested in this boy is ever growing. So he's definitely going to um, be looking to find a home. He's likely going to find a home, is what I was meant to say there. Brisbane, West Coast, Gold Coast, Melbourne are the four that are very interested. There were whispers of North Melbourne at the start. I don't know how interested they are, but I've added them to that list as well. But those four in particular, those first four, Lions, Eagles, Suns, and Demons, look to be the four that are really going to consider bringing him in. Obviously, Carlton aren't entirely certain that they're going to be parting ways with him. If there's a spot that opens up and he can't find a home, he might stay at Carlton, and I wouldn't be mad about that at all. But if he finds a home, I'm also not mad. I think he's a very good player, but um, you do have to be a bit ruthless and you have to look at the players that you're housing. Um, and I think our small forward group will be fine without him. So wherever he goes, as for what clubs in that group suit him, I don't know if he'd get instant minutes at Brisbane. He'd be behind um, Cameron, Lohman, Archie. Then McCarthy's coming back, and then he's really fighting for minutes there. West Coast and Gold Coast are interesting building teams. Gold Coast actually is very interesting. I can't think of what like proper small forwards they have. Like he's a different player to any of the ones that they currently have. I think Melbourne, they're losing Neil Bullen, so there's probably a spot for him there. North can just use that kind of experience. He has finals experience that a lot of North players don't have. So that's an option there as well. Um, and then the Eagles, yeah, off the top of my head, Liam Ryan's there. Tyler Brockman's there. So there's a couple of smalls to compete with there, but he probably get games there as well. Because he's a good player.